I read comics briefly as a kid. I was really into G.I. Joe, the cartoon, and the toys in the 80s. And a friend of mine got me started on reading some of the comics. And so I ended up reading G.I. Joe comics for a few years. And while I was doing that, I was going to a new comic shop in my old town. And I got into some other comics, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but the Archie version, the kind of tie in to the animated show, not the original black and whites, which at that point were already difficult to get. I got into a bunch of other weird ones. I was never a superhero guy. I had a friend try desperately to get me into X-Men, and I absolutely hated it. Like, I can't tell you. Never liked Superman. Never was into the. I wasn't into the Christopher Reeve movies. I didn't even like the Tim Burton Batman when it came out. It's it grew on me over time, and I actually liked the second one, Batman Returns, but I just wasn't my thing. So then I just stopped reading comics. I don't know, they kept going up in price. I mean, my goodness, I think when I started, they were like 50 cents. And in just a few years, they were like 2.95. And I know part of it was they changed to glossy paper. There was like all kinds of different stuff, but they just kept going up in price, and it didn't seem like it was going to stop. GI Joe got stupid. The toys got stupid. I mean, I was growing out of the toys, but even before I was really fully growing out of the toys, they were just getting dumb. I love science fiction, but what was science fiction doing in my GI Joe? It just didn't work. It didn't make sense. So I quit reading comics. It was an easy thing to do because they just got so pricey that I honestly I couldn't afford them. What I'd rather buy a whole bunch of candy and do a few other things than buy one or two issues of a comic book, which was all I could afford to do otherwise. So, and that was it. And then the 90s, I was really into tabletop RPGs. I didn't read comics. There was kind of a little bit of a nerd rivalry because, you would go to the comic shop and the people were so kind of like, the collector boom was happening and the people were kind of awful because like collectors are always kind of awful. Uh, so I didn't, whatever, read comics for a long time. And then I started hanging out with some folks, you know, bad influence, and they were really into comics, like really into comics. And I started working with them, and that was like a whole problem. And on, I would say on lunch breaks, except that we actually started reading comics just while the shop was open because we didn't have any customers because it was Maine and nobody had any money. I ended up, a friend of mine got me kind of hooked on comics, and he figured out he did what you have a lot of times when people are really passionate about something and they don't know how to talk about it. They just assume like, oh man, I love the X-Men. Everybody's going to love the X-Men. So, oh, you don't read comics? Well, you need to read the X-Men. But you don't know me, and you don't know that the X-Men's not going to appeal to me in any way, shape, or form. And it doesn't. This guy was much better about learning subjects. And so he gave me Metabarons, and he also gave me Hellboy to read. And then I was hooked. Here I am, like, I don't know, 25, 26 years old. And all of a sudden, for the first time since I was a kid, I was hooked on comics. And I absolutely loved the Metabarons. Like, I could not tell you how much. I loved this series. The art in this series blew me away. And so, I couldn't get enough. It turns out I actually already kind of knew the artist's work because I had snuck my brother's heavy metal magazines a lot when I was a kid, and so was already familiar with Juan Gimenez's art, or Jimenez, I'm not sure how it's pronounced. Um, I already knew his work, and I loved it. Metabarons just like cemented it, and now I knew his name. Why do I bring all that up? Well, I went, as a previous video that I recorded will talk about, I went to New York a weekend ago from when I'm recording this for free. Oh, I mean, that wasn't why I was there, but while I was there, I wanted to do free comic book day. And I went to Forbidden Planet, and that was awesome. Well, after Forbidden Planet, we had time. We were staying in a hotel in the Bronx. Subway super easy to use. So we had time before our show, matinee show, that we could hop on. We went to Forbidden Planet, grabbed a bite to eat. We hop on the train, head back up to our hotel in the Bronx. But right around the corner from our hotel was this place, Exile Comics. It's on 2688 3rd Avenue in the Bronx. And so we are going to go to Exile Comics. So we get there. We see there's a little line. Honestly, almost missed the place. There's a reason. You go there, you'll know. It's fascinating. I love New York so much. But it's like the big sign is like a pharmacy, and you go in, and there's actually a couple of little businesses, and then the pharmacy, and the comic shop is like the second business in. So we go. There's a little line. All right, well, we know where it is, but we're hungry. We're going to go. We ate at this awesome diner a couple of blocks away with prices I haven't seen since I lived in Maine, and even then, probably back in the 80s. It was really good, just like classic diner food, very cool. We finish up, we come back, now the line's a lot longer. I'm like, okay, no problem. Well, then the line just like does not move. It crawls. We got plenty of time, but it crawls. And we're there for probably, I don't know, it was 45 minutes, I bet. And it was fine. We were going to, we're like, whatever, we got time. And it moved along a little bit, but it was like really, really going slow. And finally, like the sun started to come over the building and it was hot and humid. And I'm like, you know what? I got everything thanks to Forbidden Planet and the way they did things. I got everything I wanted. I'm good. I'm done. We waited, whatever. I don't want to wait the rest of the time. And it easily was going to be probably another 45 minutes to an hour before we got in. So whatever. But we're staying around the corner. Like, look, I'll come back. We'll come back in a couple days. And we did. We went back, and I'm glad we did, because it's a really cool shop, Exile Comics. Check it out. But I understand why the line moved so slow. It is tiny. It is a closet. Packed, absolutely packed with stuff, which is great. I mean, it was a great little comic shop. It's got, honestly, it had a better selection than comic shops 10, 12, 15 times bigger than I've seen. And while I was there, I got this, a Juan Gimenez comic. He actually had several from, things like published by Humanoids, which was great. Because this is, again, I'm not a spandex guy. I like science fiction. I like weird genre stuff, and I love certain types of art. And Juan Gimenez just has art that I really respond to. I absolutely love. So I picked this one up, Leo Roa, I guess. And here's the back. I realized that was an extra long-winded intro, but, that's me. Oh, look at it. I love it. If I can get it without the glare. Knowing his work, there might be nudity, so, avert your eyes. Yeah. Right off, I'm already really digging the look of this. Now, is this... Yeah, written and drawn by. That's really cool. Translated Justin Kelly. Great. So I don't think I've read anything that he's written. I've only seen stuff that he's done the art for, and I just absolutely love his art. Gimenez died right at the beginning of the COVID outbreak, actually. He was probably the first famous person, famous within certain circles anyway. He was the first person, of note that I heard about passing. Um, it was a bummer. I absolutely love his work. It's great stuff. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to checking this out. I've also been seriously contemplating diving back into the Meta Barons and giving this a reread because I was reading this. I mean, my goodness, this was one of those where it felt like it would just take forever between volumes of it getting released, and you kept thinking the company publishing it was going out of business. It was like a whole thing. But I just was absolutely blown away. And I mean, I know the Meta Barons is essentially Jodorowsky working out his feelings on losing Dune, but I'll be curious to see what this is like, and I'm just jazzed to check something out. So I was bummed not to get to Exile Comics on Free Comic Book Day, but I was still able to. And I mean, I had all the free comics I needed. So I mean, we'd already decided when we were standing in line, even once we got in there, we were just going to buy something to support the store. We didn't need to pick up any free comics. I had everything I needed. But I was glad to get back and check it out on a different day. It seemed like a really cool like neighborhood shop, and the people in that part of the Bronx are lucky to have a little shop like that. So if you're in that neck of the woods, check it out. It's not far from the train stations either. There were a couple of train stations within just a few blocks, so worth checking out. All right, until the next time, take care.